This is my Algebra 1 video that discusses one-step equations with addition and subtraction. This is part 2 of a two-part series. But before we start, I would like to go over a few things to ensure we're on the same page. And the first thing is that an equation is a mathematical sentence that has an equal sign in it. The second thing is that whatever I do on this side of the equation, or equal sign, I must also do on this side of the equal sign, correct? So here's my example. I have 7 equals 7. This is true, right? But if I subtract 3 from this side and do nothing to this side, now it is 4 equals 7, and it is not true. So if I am to subtract 3 from this side, I must also subtract 3 from this side in order to keep the equation true. I also want to discuss additive inverses. Positive 1 and negative 1 are additive inverses of each other because when you combine them, the result is 0. So the rule is when you add additive inverses, the result will equal 0. Here are some examples of additive inverses. Say I have 9. What do I need to add to 9 to equal 0? I need to add a negative 9, correct? That is because positive 9 and negative 9 are in fact additive inverses of each other. Another example would be negative 345. What do I need to add to negative 345 to equal 0? And I need to add 345. That is because negative 345 and positive 345 are additive inverses of each other. I'm going to use algebra tiles today. The big black one is going to represent the variable, which can be any letter, but in our case we're going to use x. The blue tile is going to represent a positive 1, and the red tile is going to represent a negative 1. So now we are going to solve a one-step equation with addition and subtraction. Here is our equation. X minus 4 equals 3, correct? So we have our x, and then we have our 4 negative 1s, so that's minus 1, 2, 3, 4. X minus 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side of the equation, correct? On the other side, we have 1, 2, 3, and that is positive 3. So now, what do I need to do to get the x by itself, right? So I have to add 4 positive 1s, correct? Because each one cancels out a negative 1. So these 4 will cancel these 4 out. That is because the inverse of negative 4 is positive 4, correct? Now we are left with just the x, which is what we want. But now I have to do on this side of the equation what I did on this side of the equation, correct? And I have to add my 4 positive 1 tiles. So now I have x equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. X equals 7, okay? Now, x equals 7 is our result. Let's see, here is our original equation. X minus 4 equals 3, correct? We plug in 7 for x. 7 minus 4 equals 3, and it is true. Now, let's try to solve this equation, but without the tiles. We need to remember that the object of the game is to get the x on one side of the equal sign all by itself and all the numbers on the other side of the equal sign, correct? And we also want to know that the inverse or opposite operation of subtraction is addition. And the additive inverses of each other will equal 0 when added. Now we have x minus 4. We're subtracting 4 from the variable x, correct? Or you can say that we are adding a negative 4. So, what are we going to need to put here in order to get x by itself? We need positive 4, or we need to add 4. This is subtracting 4, this is adding 4. You can look at it like that. We can say this is negative 4, and this is positive 4. And that, they will cancel each other out, and we will have the x by itself. But we also have to do it on this side, right? So we got 3 plus 4 equals 7. And it was true, of course. Now, things to remember in this slide or video is we want to get the variable on one side of the equation and the numbers on the other side of the equation. That is the object of using additive inverses. And also, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you must also do on the other side of the equation. Additive inverses of each other will equal 0 when added. And something else I discussed here is that when you are adding something, in order to get rid of it or for it to equal 0, you need to do the opposite operation, which is addition. So the inverse or opposite operation of subtraction is addition. And that has been my Algebra 1 video on one-step equations with addition and subtraction. And this has been part 2 of a 2-part series. If you want to get a hold of me, this is my email, jansonmath620@gmail.com.